is a human rights researcher and civic entrepreneur. Welcome to the program, Azadeh. What are Iranian officials saying about these latest poisonings?
Yes, as you mentioned, the poisonings have been ongoing since November of 2022 in the midst of the uprisings of women life freedom. And the Iranian government really has not really changed direction since the beginning, claiming to be doing some kind of investigation here and there. Nevertheless, they propagate narratives that are hugely flawed and problematic, claiming that a lot of these poisonings have had to do with quote unquote things such as mischief and stress of the students. Amnesty International has released a statement saying that the investigations of the Iranian government have been absolutely inadequate in recent months, and there is absolutely no accountability for those involved in these chemical attacks. Thousands of students have been, since November, have been reported to end up in the hospital with a variety of health issues. And essentially, this is a right to education, health, and life for children and students in Iran. And it requires a much more adequate investigation and an independent investigation at this point. The Iranian parents, the Iranian people consider this a systematic and a coordinated at this point effort against hundreds of schools, some of them repeated attacks, and do not accept these kinds of narratives of so-called stress and mischief. And at the same time, there are families who've had to take their girls out of school, this is very worrisome because essentially it's an attack and possibly a coordinated and organized attack backed by the Iranian government against the right of education of girls as a way of taking revenge against students, and in particular girl students who were involved very heavily in a peaceful manner in the protests of mid-September 2022.
Yeah, so Azadeh, do we have any idea who might be behind these attacks?
When there is no transparency by the Iranian government, it's very difficult to definitively infer conclusions that have judicial value. The Iranian government, like in other cases, is withholding evidence and transparency from the Iranian people. But as human rights organizations such as Amnesty and others are suspicious, there may be elements of governmental associations with these chemical attacks, like, as I said, as a form of revenge and sort of instilling fear in schools, where that became sort of the hub of the protest in recent months. Or as like the Iranian government at times has claimed, radical elements and rogue elements and things like this. But again, this is the responsibility of the government to protect the right to education, right to health, and right to life of school kids, and in this case girls. And so it's not only whether it's the government's fault or not, it's also the responsibility of the government to protect the children of the country.
Azadeh Pourzand, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you so much for joining us on TRT World.